Rupert Kemeys.
Yes, Joe.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Friday Show.
4?
Episode 4.
Oh, it's gone fast.
I know at the whenever you shoot a pilot of a show,
Yeah.
I don't ever knew why they called it a pilot.
Oh, no.
I'm going to have to ask someone in the industry
Tell me,
about
yeah.
that, because I always thought a pilot was someone that flew a plane.
Blue planes. Yeah.
But when you shoot a pilot, it's always risque because you never know. Am I gonna get to that third show, fourth show, maybe the 8th show? And here we are.
Yep.
Episode number 4 of what I'd like to call New Zealand's #1 real estate podcast. How do you feel about that?
And Bolton Street.
How does it feel to be a D grade celebrity? Oh, actually, I'd say even more C grade now.
I'd say D. Still.
You'd say D?
Yeah, D. D grade.
C
probably
plus.
for
Or
Tony.
C minus.
Ah, feels good.
Feels good? You're looking well, mate.
Thanks. You're looking good too. Got a new haircut.
Did you?
I did.
Where do you get your hair cut?
Bore and Blade in town.
First shout out of the day.
Zeke. Have you been cut? Yeah, cut
Few
by
times.
Zeke?
Few times.
Brilliant barber.
Mate, I'll
One of
tell
the
you
best
what.
in Wellington.
I like the feel down there. You know what I like about that barbery as well?
Yeah.
If you call it a barbery.
Barbery? No,
Barber.
it's barber.
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 I like the fact you go in there and they give you a beer
They do.
when you cut your hair.
I know, it's great. Great
So-
service.
Great service. They
It's
got the
not
b-ball
too
on.
pricey too. You can, get a good cut. Yeah, it's good.
Have you ever had a shave? Like, I mean, obviously you've shaved before.
No,
I
I've
noticed that
shaved.
you're quite a hairy man. We were just having that discussion with marketing Mike. I'm not sure where he's
Mike's quite a hairy
mocked off
guy.
to.
Yeah.
Very hairy,
Very
very hairy man.
Yeah.
Also very, very big man. Hey, first shout out. We've done the first shout out, and that's to your barber.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
shout out to Zeke. Yeah.
And I'm sure if you want any information on that, you can direct message us at the Friday Shout. But like always, we're going to start with some beers before we get into what we're talking about today.
Actual beer.
And I'm very excited about episode 4 because we've donned the bottles for cans, and we are going in for some. Oh, doesn't that just sound
doesn't
great?
that sound the best?
Doesn't that just
Would
sound
you like
great?
one?
I would love one, mate. Thank you very much. Importantly as well, we don't need a bottle opener because. Oh gosh, that's good. Because they're cans, obviously.
Yeah.
Which always makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
But of course, shout outs to Garage Project. Interestingly enough, Arrow Street. I think they're on Arrow Street.
They are on Arrow Street. I think it even says it. Arrow Street, Wellington. Yeah, they are.
Arrow Street, Wellington.
Great beer. They've been around for a long time, and I really enjoy it.
Love the branding. I mean, it's beer.
Great. Looks great in the fridge.
That's all you need.
It almost looks like your Homer Simpson.
Well, yeah, it does have that Duff mentality to it, doesn't it?
You know,
just
when
get in
you
there
open
and
the
just grab
fridge,
it.
it's very cartoony.
So, very, very big shout out. Arrow Street, just down the road from my first, talking about property, my first ever flat
Arrow
in
Valley.
Wellington. It was in Arrow Valley.
Did it get sun?
Adams Terrace. No, it didn't.
No.
They got no
sun.
sun.
No.
Very, very moist house.
Bloody
High
good beer.
moisture leadings. Very good beer. Hey, remember in episode 1, this
Yep.
is going back a few weeks now, and I made a comment on that particular show
Yeah.
that we were not going to talk about politics. I said, we're not going to talk about politics when
Yeah.
it comes to real estate. And I'm very excited about today because we're actually going to talk about politics.
Oh, awesome. Well,
So-
there's election soon, isn't there?
Well, there's an election coming up 2 weeks. My gosh, it's been... I mean, have you been paying attention to what's been going on?
No.
Aside from selling all those houses, I know that you've been very, 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 very busy.
No, I have. It's been
Opening
a
offices.
bloody interesting election
Ray White,
campaign
office,
for
Kemeys brothers.
both the big two players, the National and Labour, so it's been interesting.
Well, you've got old mate, he's gone. Jacinda's in, so they pulled the leader 7 weeks out from the election. The Greens, they've had a little bit of trouble as well with leadership. You've had Gareth Morgan with the well, we won't go into the actual call, but
Let's
wowza.
not go.
Wowza. But look, I think, as we said, this is a show about real estate. And it has to be said that it is one of the most topical topics. It's a topical topic.
Yeah, great.
It's out there in the media at the moment.
Yeah.
And that is housing, New Zealand housing. It forms a big part of our domestic economy, of course. As the housing market goes down and up, it has an effect on all sides of our economy. So I thought today what we could do, and for the lovely viewers and the followers that we've got, is we could talk a little bit about politics and real estate. What do you think?
Oh, I think that'd be a fantastic idea.
Because look, we're 2 weeks out from the election,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you, but are you going to vote?
I've registered, have you?
I have got my registration
Actually,
papers.
my flatmate Blair actually registered for me, but then I had to go on the internet and register online.
Very easy to register. You can go online now.
Yeah.
You just have to put what your previous address is in.
Yep.
If you're not living at that address, put your new one in. They'll send out your
And then you're away.
papers, and you're good to go.
Yeah. But
And
it'd be
it's-
really good just to be, not biased at all towards any parties today.
No.
Just really talk about, I think it's just National, Labour, what are they offering? What have they done?
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
So, and I think you're right. I think we come into this. When I'm not pushing any. You know those kind of shows or those commentators, and they're really kind of giving a bit of a push. We're not giving a push.
No.
But in the same time, I want to focus on Labour and I want to focus on National because hey, they're the two big headliners. Let's break them down. Let's have a look and let's see what's going on. I want to start with Labour.
Yeah.
Because Labour, I mean, when you look at what's going on at the moment, they've really. It's a hard fight.
They've come in hot. They're obviously the competitor. So
Well, that's right.
They're trying to take the throne.
And it's like the fighter that they had.
Sort of like Game of Thrones, they're in there. They're trying to take it.
Are you a Throny?
I am a Throne.
You are a Throny, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into Game of Thrones.
Did you see the leaked episode last week?
I haven't actually watched Game of Thrones in about
you?
3 seasons. No.
All right.
But if we were talking Labour National,
Yeah.
okay, Game of Thrones maybe or a fight kind
Mate,
of.
you don't watch Game of Thrones. It's not.
Well, I'm not going to go to Game of Thrones, but I'll use the fight analogy. Okay.
Yeah.
They've pulled the fighter. He's injured or he's gone. He's out.
Yeah.
The previous leader. And now Jacinda's in there. She's coming in fresh. She's rechanged the training regime. She's got the new, kind of brand campaign going out there in the marketplace. We're 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Housing's an important issue. First policy that we're going to talk about as part of, first module or whatever you want to call it as part of their housing policy.
Yeah.
They're talking about introducing tax property speculators who are flicking houses instead of the current test. What's the test called?
Bright line test.
The bright line test. Thank you very much. That National has done, which is 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Labor is now saying we're going to push that out to 5 years.
Yep.
And whilst they're floating around a capital gains tax, and there's
Yeah.
a lot in the media going, are they going to put it in, are they not? We're not going to get too much into that. 2 to 5 years, I mean, what's your thoughts around that? In terms of, does it have a huge... For you, you're an investor. If you you don't flick property that much, but
No.
if you were going to be flicking
Well,
properties...
I think it's a good thing as well because you got a lot of people coming into like the Auckland market. Obviously, going up for the last 5 years, they come in. Every year they're selling properties, making money.
Yep.
You got your average Joe blogs making say $50,000. You're getting taxed on that.
Correct.
You've got your speculators making 100,000, 150
Yep.
capital gains. They should be taxed too.
Yep.
I mean, if you're honest about the whole situation and you're buying a house and you're going to flick it,
Yes.
you need to pay tax on that anyway. But it's really that bright line test is to stop people just speculating. There's stories of people in Auckland
Yep.
buying houses
Yep.
and they wouldn't rent them.
Okay.
Labor would hate this the most. They wouldn't rent them out
Yep.
because all they waited, sold them, made a huge profit.
Yep.
So for one, they're taking a property out of the marketplace, and then the second part is they're not actually letting anyone live in it,
Yeah.
which is a huge thing. So I think it's great. I think people who are speculating need to be, as
But you made a
say,
good-
stung.
You
for tax.
made a good point before as well around the fact that currently, if you are buying a house with the intention of renovating it or
Yeah.
refurbishing it in a small amount of time and then putting it back onto the market to sell, whether it's within 2 years or in that 5 year period, correct me if I am wrong, but you're still paying tax on that anyway, aren't you? If you're running it through a
well, if
business,
you're claiming
or-
GST and your whole sole purpose is to buy that house and sell it, then it's a business venture. So you have to pay tax on that.
So from their point of view, what Labor would be saying is that, look, we're trying to do this because, like you said before, we want more houses where people can get into, as opposed to vacant homes that are being refurbished in a small amount of time and then being put back on.
Yeah, I did
on
notice
market.
one thing as well about the Labor as well. They said around foreign speculators.
This is very true.
I would have to, in my opinion, there would be a little bit racist. I don't think it matters who's buying the houses.
Yep.
you know?
Okay.
It's like anyone, everybody in New Zealand, if they're legally in New Zealand, they should have the same rules.
So across the board,
Same
regardless
rules.
but in that, do you have to be a New Zealand citizen?
Well, you're going to have to go back and see their policies and
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
in
for
terms
sure.
of- yeah.
Well, I mean, the big thing now, of course, in recent changes to stop that as well, with overseas buyers just buying property for the sake of buying property,
Yeah.
is now you must have your IRD number.
Yeah.
Well, you must be legal. I think you need to legally be able to be represented for tax purposes within New Zealand.
Yeah, I just think if you look at the actual percentage of mainly the Chinese buyers are getting hammered in
Yes.
the press, saying that they're the reason why the prices are so high, they're the reason, it's just fairly unfair view of the Chinese buyers.
Yeah.
And I think if you actually looked at the stats, I have looked at the stats as well.
Yep.
And there's actually a small percentage of Chinese buyers actually buying those houses, and I think they're the scapegoat. So you've got to look at the real issues, and I think that should just be a blanket rule for everyone. If you're allowed to buy in the country and the rules are those rules, I think everyone should have the same rules. You can't just put these people over here and say, oh, we're not going to sell, let you guys buy houses and speculate at all, but these guys have different rules. It's just unfair.
So, exactly right. And so, I mean, what you're saying is that instead of making all of these rules for certain segments of society, it should just be one rule that covers all.
Yeah.
And within that, maybe some basic principles, in terms of what, the lending or if you're outside of the country or what have you.
Yeah, in terms of what she's saying overall, I quite agree with it.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of the 2 to 5 year rule.
In terms of that 2 to 5 year rule, do you think it has? So, say for example, on the last episode, I think this is quite topical because in the last episode we were talking about property investment.
Yeah,
we were talking about it from a more long term point of view in terms of yield, in terms of holding on to property. This is really they're targeting that kind of. It's not necessarily mum and dad investors, is it? They're targeting those people that they're coming in and they're saying, we want to buy a house.
Sort of the mum and dad investors that are claiming that they're only investing, but they really know that they're just buying for capital gains.
Yeah.
Which is a huge amount of New Zealand because New Zealand's very much wired to like capital gains. So.
Which is what we said in the last episode.
Yeah. So
and your argument was that you shouldn't be focused on capital gains because you're only looking at that kind of...
But if you are, it's just like any business. If you're in the business of making money,
yes,
and you're investing for the purpose of holding that for 2 to 3 years, then you should be taxed on it because it's a gain that you...
Do you think there would be a huge impact on the economy? Say, for example, with the amount of people out in the marketplace at the moment that would be doing projects where, say, they're buying a house and every 3 months they're looking, or 3 to 6 months they're looking at buying a house, renovating, refurbishing, and putting back on the market. And each time they clip in a ticket of $30,000 to $60,000, little profits. They're still going to be paying tax on that. Do you think it's going to have any impact on?
Well,
they
they still have to pay the tax.
They still have to pay the tax anyway.
Same thing. So.
Yeah.
So they still there's no bright line test on them. They're just making money, so they have to do that.
And Labor also saying that they're going to stay away from the family home, so there's no capital gains tax that would be payable on the family home either.
Yeah.
So just talk me through that as well. So if I buy a family home and I move the family in, and then something happens and I have to move overseas, say for example, Chip the renter becomes Chip the homeowner,
we don't have to pay
Chip the
tax
investor.
on that, but I mean,
what if I sold it?
That's what they're trying to say in the speculation thing as well. Is if you're doing that every 6 months, then obviously, you need to have a look at what you're doing out there. Okay, moving along, Labor. They're going to build 100,000 affordable homes across the country. Now, this was an interesting one. We were talking about this before the show. Yeah.
Okay. Kiwi Build program. They're going to build 100,000 high quality affordable homes, 10 years. 50% of them are going to be in Auckland. Mm-hmm. They've got some figures on those. I'll read you those figures. The houses in Auckland will cost 500,000 to 600,000. Apartments and townhouses will be under 500,000.
Yep.
And outside of Auckland, they're looking at houses ranging between 300 to 500,000.
Yeah.
Interesting topic, interesting policy. What do you think?
Great policy. I think New Zealand definitely needs 100,000 more homes built. We've got so much immigration.
Correct.
I'm all for immigration, but I mean, there's so many people coming into New Zealand.
Yep.
People can't afford homes, so you need more housing.
Yep.
But you said some prices there?
Oh, I did. Do you want me to say those prices again?
Yeah.
Because they're good round figures.
They are,
as well. So the first is Auckland. Let's talk about Auckland.
Yep.
50% of the homes they want to build in Auckland. Okay, so that's 50,000 out of the 100,000 high quality affordable homes they're building. They're going to cost 500,000 to 600,000.
Yeah.
And they're saying apartments and townhouses will be under 500,000.
Yeah. So I think there's just a little bit of a sham in terms of what you can actually offer.
Yeah.
Because say if me and you, we wanted to buy our first home.
Would love to buy my first home.
There's thousands of people in New Zealand that want to buy their first homes. Like, why do I get one and why don't you?
Yeah. And what's the criteria behind
And what's the criteria? So say if I buy my one for $500,000, am I allowed to sell it 6 months later for the actual market value of $750,000?
Yeah.
Or do I not? Or do I have to rent it? Or is there... And of course they can put all those things in place, but at the end of the day, if they're building affordable houses, because everyone says they're not affordable anymore, but you have to be at the market price. But I'm just saying I think it's a great policy that they need to build 100,000 because I think we'll go back to national later, but they're about a quarter of that, aren't they? So
I agree with you. I like the ideal of it. I think we need more homes in New Zealand, and I would love this policy if it worked.
Just the price fixing, it's impossible.
I think it's quite hard. Yeah, I think it's quite hard for them to get onto that.
We had a scenario here in Wellington.
Yeah,
where they came out and said they're going to do exactly that, and they're going to price them at 350,000. They were all sold for 500,000.
Well, and again, okay, land at the moment, very hard to come across in Wellington, in my experience as an agent, and hey, quote me if I'm wrong, developments that were, back in the day that were going with 80, 100, maybe 200 homes. At the moment, more and more small-time developments are happening, where there's like 6 to 7, right? And those prices where you would coming in and you have a kind of a clear idea in your head,
yeah,
those are also being blown out of proportion as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
it's just the market, yeah.
Because that's the market. And so going back to before, I think that's the hardest thing to control are those market variances, and especially if you're putting a fixed kind of price expectation on it from the get-go. Okay, I want to talk to you about the third side of the summary of Labor's housing policy.
There's quite a few policies, haven't
we? We could sit here.
I know. I saw you doing a lot of research. So
I did do a lot. Well, every good journalist does their research.
You're a journalist now for your host.
Well, I took a little bit more of a journalistic approach this time around.
I'm the host now, and
you could be the host,
okay, cool.
And I'll be I wouldn't say I'll be the researcher,
okay.
Host and researcher,
or co-host.
I just don't want to come across too Mike Hoskins.
You do sort of come across like that, yeah. Really.
Sometimes,
pretty much like that.
Is that because of the?
No, just because you'd be the wanker that would drive the Ferrari.
Okay, getting right along. Okay, let's talk about barriers that are stopping Auckland growing up and out.
Yeah,
good point. Here we go. Labor will remove the Auckland urban growth boundary, free up density controls, giving Auckland more options to grow, as well as stopping land bankers profiteering and holding up development. New developments, both in Auckland and the rest of New Zealand, will be funded through innovative infrastructure bonds.
Brilliant.
Love it?
Yeah, I love it.
Why?
You look overseas. You look at the likes of the UK, Australia. Everyone's come to grasp with when you've got massive populations, you need apartments, you need terrace housing.
Yeah.
Except for us in New Zealand, where we still believe that we deserve the quarter acre dream, like a massive entitlement.
I love the point.
Yeah.
We do feel, and especially as first time home. Oh, look, I don't want to get down on the first time home buyers. I love first time home buyers, but the times are changing. Bob Dylan wrote that. He wrote the song.
It is
the
changing.
times are changing.
It's the whole human thing as well. It's like, we need more houses. We need cheap houses. And then someone goes, I'm going to build some apartments next door. What?
Yeah.
Not there. It's like, well, where do you want them? It's like, as long as it's not next to me, but we need to fix it. So I think if everyone... you got to come together, but the only way you can do that as well, because I'd be the same. If someone said I'm going to build 8-story apartment building next door, I'd be like, no.
You wouldn't be too happy.
No, but the zones all need to be changed.
Yes.
So then it's a blanket rule for everyone, just like we talked about before. It's got to be a fair rule for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's got to happen. They've got to change to terrace housing, apartment housing. It's not just because we're in real estate and we go, oh, great, we can sell more houses. It's just because we're not talking about building apartment buildings that are horrible.
No.
Or terraced housing that's horrible. We're talking about quality homes.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of the best houses I've seen over in Australia are actually only 50 square metres big.
Oh, absolutely.
Top of the range appliances, kitchens, bathrooms. They're wicked. They got terraced. They got decks on the top of the roof.
Yes.
Premium.
Well, they have those mutual areas where you can come together. You can book them out for parties.
But but the way we look at it in New Zealand now is, it's tiny. We don't want that kind of stuff. But it's like,
But do we need it? Do we need all that stuff? Do you need... and yes, if you've got, 5 to 7... No, I'm not going to say 5 to 7 kids. If you're looking for the family home and you've got more than 2 children, yes, you're going to need some space to spread out.
Yeah.
But let's also talk about the fact that, young people now... Less young people are having children early on.
Yeah.
More and more people now are working in corporate environments where they're doing the 9 to 5 and they're working or lots of them are working even outside of those hours.
Majority of people are like
so they're not at home to enjoy the quarter acre. Do you need all that stuff? Do you need all that maintenance?
That greed factor. Like, I've got 4 bathrooms and I haven't even had a shower in one of them. It's like, well, why do you need the bathroom? I think it's just, but it's not about that as well. It's just the more people that come in, you've got less space.
Yeah.
And if we don't create more housing like that, because that's what it comes across as. Oh, there's no housing. But it's like, we can't just keep building these quarter acre dream sites. Yeah. But if we get to apartment buildings, it actually like fixes that problem of over demand, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So
but it also gives the opportunity, so if we house more people, we were talking about migration before, and I'm not saying this is the answer to everything, this is just a general conversation, but if we can house more people in quality homes, like you were saying, with nice fit outs, late model appliances, these people are working. These people are working in these, local suburbs. More people are coming in. They're working in the local suburbs. Yeah. We're trying to improve, the local domestic economy. So they're going out. They're spending more money in there. I know for a fact, and this is just a pure observation, Rupert. Take it as you will. I would say that those in the working place now that aren't heavily focused on a budget or a savings plan for something like buying a house would be eating out more than what they would be cooking at home.
Oh, yeah.
I would happily say that.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and I think that's the thing is that if we want to get into especially local suburbs and improved growth, and these are some of the things that we have to look at.
You got to look at it, yeah.
And so I actually agree with you on this one. I think that it's a good policy.
It's got to be done. They just got to. Someone's just got to step in, just change the zoning, and just say this is the way it's going to go, guys. Obviously, all those houses have to go through a process to make sure they're going to be nice homes.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go, I'm going to build anything.
Yeah.
That's what people get scared of, but they're going to go through a stringent process to get there.
Well, the line I like this, and look, this is the line I like especially. This will give Auckland more options to grow. They're talking about Auckland, but as well as stopping land bankers profiteering and holding up development. Because it does feel like sometimes a lot of the complaints that come across from the housing market is that things are getting held up and there's red tape and there's bureaucracy and we have to get this and it takes this.
They've got to streamline the development process when there's people who are trying to build new houses. They've done a lot of that though.
Yeah.
The government.
In terms of national, and we're going to talk about that.
They've done a lot of that.
In a minute.
But they do have to streamline that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you live in an apartment?
Yes. I tried to buy one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Just down the road, Petone.
Really?
Yeah. Remember the big one.
The big one. The big old one.
180 squares, I think it was. It's a beautiful apartment, and I
Yeah.
didn't pay enough, so I didn't get that. I should have paid more. Hindsight, yeah.
In hindsight, you should have paid more, but you know, hey, that's the beauty of a
Dreams
free
are
market.
free.
Someone
Maybe
liked it more than you, and they bought it.
The apartments are great.
Yeah, exactly.
No yards.
I think the other thing as well, when just while we're on the subject, how's your beer going?
Beer, it's really good.
I just want to give a big old shout out to Garage Project again down on RS Street. Talk to me about the flavour.
It's, I don't know how to. It's nice.
I was just going to go with tasty. Marketing Mike. Marketing Mike's smiling to me over there in the distance there. He's giving me the thumbs up. Who are you voting for?
Give that to myself, thanks, Jim.
That's what I like to hear. A man that keeps things to himself. We don't want to get too political on it. Hey, whilst we're on the topic, we're going to talk about national in just a minute. But what I did want to relate back to before is that you did say something around voting, and you said it is important. Yeah. And I actually agree with you. Now, I don't want to throw it down. You know, people can choose what they want to do. I also believe in that as well. Are you going to be voting in this election?
Oh, yeah, I'll be voting.
Yeah. And then that way, if you complain about anything, you've got a little bit of a right.
Exactly.
But if
I'll be voting. I don't know who I'm going to vote for actually.
Yeah.
So we're delving into some topics and we'll see who wins.
Do you think there's a lot of on the fence kind of people, like in terms of your like on the fence kind of voters when it comes to your peers?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Do you think that the housing crisis or challenge would be a big topic that they'd be interested in?
Housing crisis? You want my honest opinion on that?
Yeah.
There's no housing crisis. It's just a market.
Yeah.
We've been through this for the last 50 years.
Yeah. So is it a housing crisis or is it a housing challenge?
When the prices are going up ridiculously, we've got a housing crisis.
Yeah.
Right? And when the prices are going down, everyone's complaining about the economy.
Yeah.
You can't win with the housing market.
So do you think it's hard then for someone like National, which we're going to talk about in a minute, to say, well, because one of the things I noticed is when I went and looked at policy, when I was doing my research and put my research cap on, is you go to Labour. Labour's very, they're obviously, because they've got a big, challenge ahead of them to say, well, the housing situation in New Zealand is not working.
Yes.
So this is what we're going to do and do. National's leading back a little bit and they're saying, well, hey, we've done a few things.
Oh, would you like another beer, Mr. Hosking?
I would love...
Mike.
Look, let me just say this.
I think you could be the new guy, Mr. Hosking.
Let me just say this. If there are anyone at TVNZ watching right now that wants a nice, non-partisan... Partisan? If they want a nice, really onto it, young broadcaster that wants to come in there and call it down the line, as most referees should when it comes to debates, Marketing Mike knows, he's talking about it, then they should give me a call, Chip_McCabe at the Friday Show. Hey, I want to talk about the Nats. Did you open me a beer?
Yeah,
oh, fantastic. Right in front of you. Yeah, that's great. Want to talk about the Nats?
Yeah.
9 years in power. That's a long time.
It is a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the National Party, from what I can tell, from the research, versus the Labour Party. Labour very intensive. We want to do this.
Yeah.
We need to do this, and we need to change this.
Yeah.
National, a little bit more, hey, we've done a lot.
Sort of like the McGregor-Mayweather. You got the McGregor saying, I'm going to go and do this, and Mayweather's like, I already done it, so I don't need to really talk it up, is it? So.
Do you know what? That's actually the best analogy of this show.
Yeah.
I take all things I said about you before the show back.
Thanks, mate.
And what I was going to say is... Labour a little bit more hyper-intensive in terms of what they're doing, in terms of, it's a little bit more in the clouds.
Yep.
National, a little bit more spicy. Bit spicy. They come in more physical this time around. They want to put all the kids in bloody military camp or whatever from the other side of things. On the housing market...
I don't think they actually want to put...
I don't know if they do. On the housing side of things, I should say. On the housing side of things. Meth testing. They want to make meth testing easier.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was hard to meth test.
It's not hard at all, but
we want to be able to evict tenants easier, and the unlawful renting of properties.
Yeah.
We want to crack down on I believe what they're referring to there is the classic squatter.
The squatter, yeah.
I actually met a squatter once.
Did you?
Yep. He was a great dude.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice guy.
Any more to that story?
I shared some McDonald's with him.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and he had a skateboard. That's about as much
do you know
as
much
I can
about
remember.
the kind of squatting policy in New Zealand at the moment? Or
I don't. I can happily say, that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
can I have a beer while you do it?
You can.
Fantastic.
Have a drink. No, it's quite interesting in New Zealand because I've actually had this sort of experience in the past as well.
You were a squatter? Yourself?
No, I wasn't.
No, you're not squatting. Okay.
Me and you weren't having McDonald's together. So basically, if you move into a house, right, / break into a house, and the landlord doesn't know, we're not telling anyone to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you broke in and you find a key, so if you have a key, right?
Yeah.
And the landlord turns up and goes, "Who the hell are you guys?"
Yep.
And you go, "I've got a key," and that landlord brings the police.
Yeah.
The police will go, "This is not a police matter.
Ooh.
It's a property law matter," and then you got to go to the court.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you got to go to the court, and it takes about 4 months.
So say, for example, I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And I'm marketing a property.
Yeah.
And I lose the key.
Yeah.
Someone finds that key.
Yeah.
Property doesn't sell. Owners take it over. Go to rent it out. Someone finds that key. Moves in.
Police don't care. If you ever ring anyone
Wowza.
as well, it's like the tenants can do anything they want to the property.
Yep.
And you ring the police and go, "Oh, my tenants are doing this." They go, "It's a property law thing."
So all those real estate
never
agents
do.
out there at the moment that have got lost keys,
Yeah, probably find
front
those
up
keys.
and tell your vendors.
Find those keys.
Because you might be in trouble.
You might be in
real trouble.
Yeah.
So the squat. So in that regard, I find the key, or I've got the key. I come in. It's a vacant property. Landlord comes around. What are you doing here? You're obviously not paying rent. I'm just living here.
I'm living here.
And you can stay in there for as long as you want.
Not as long as you want. You have to, the landlord.
But you'd have to go through a process.
Take
of
it to
saying,
court, 4 months eviction notice. But it's not as simple as going to the tenancy tribunal because that's for tenancies, and you don't have a tenancy, so you can just.
You don't have a
chill on
tenancy
there.
because you just got someone squatting in your house.
No, so you got to take that person actually to court, and it's got to go all the way through. It takes about 4 months, probably about $10,000.
Is it still a thing?
It
I mean,
is.
I do not kid you. I did meet a squatter once, Newtown in Wellington.
Yeah.
He took me through the house. It
Yeah.
was at a late hour of the evening. In fact, I think I'd just gone to the Mint Chicks. It was after the Mint Chicks. Great band, if anyone remembers the Mint Chicks.
Yeah.
And
You keep looking at Mike like he's in the podcast.
well, I'm just trying to get a reaction from my producer, and he's smiling, which is great. But look, evicting tenants easier.
Yeah, it has to be easier, but.
But you won't. I mean, you've got a property management company, and that you share with Cindy Robertson. I always say McCletchy.
Yeah, Cindy Robertson. Brilliant.
So you guys have gone through this process a lot with tenants and the tribunals and what have you. Is it hard to evict a tenant, and
Very
should it be
hard.
made easier?
It's very hard to evict a tenant, and it should be made easier in certain situations.
Yes.
I mean, if someone doesn't pay the rent for 2 months and they've been smoking meth in your house, I think they should be gone.
So in that regard, national, easier to test if they've been smoking meth.
Yeah.
Get them out of here quicker.
Easier test, and they're going to haunt them out.
And hey, if they're squatting in your investment property, well,
Yeah.
you probably don't want someone that's not on a lease agreement in there.
But vice versa as well. They've still got to, save all the policies around the tenants as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
You've got to keep those guys safe.
For sure.
In terms of, landlords just saying, "Oh, get out of the house," and they've got nowhere to live.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what the Nats or National.
You
has.
were a young Nat, weren't you?
No, that's a complete lie and
You
a fabrication
were.
of the truth. I was not.
You were just telling us mid.
I said
come
that
on,
when
mate.
I was in university, I
Yeah.
may have known someone that was the president of the Young Nats. I'm not going to name names.
Did you try to get into the Young Nats and you weren't allowed, or was it a height restriction?
Look, me and Mike Hoskin can share. Look, there's no height restriction when it comes to the Nats.
Okay.
Although they might be a little bit more.
I don't know. I was just asking.
Simon Powell's a big guy as well.
So I know that you couldn't ride roller coasters but I thought it might have been a young Nat.
Oh no, that wasn't because of the height thing. It's just when I go down fast gradients at a heavy pace, I tend to urinate quite quickly. So anyway, look, we don't want to get into that. That's a whole nother story.
Really digging a hole there.
So I want to talk about the Nats. I want to talk about their policy. Around 2,000 homes. This is what they're saying. This is something they say they've already passed. It's going into fruition.
Yep.
2,000 homes to be built on redeveloped Housing New Zealand land over the next 2 years. I mean, look, here's what I like about it. And I don't know if there's anything I don't like about it, but I'm sure you might be able to shed some facts on me. I like the fact that we're taking something a bit old, and we're injecting something a bit new. Okay, and I think in terms of there's a lot of Housing New Zealand homes out there at the moment. This is nothing against Housing New Zealand. I'm not saying that, but it is again maybe time for some new stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can disagree with me.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
And on what basis?
Oh, I don't really like the fact that the national government got a bulldozer and rammed it through people's homes, and then sold the package as, hey, we're going to build all these homes, and then we're not actually going to give them back to the people that we bulldozed.
Okay, so great point. So this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Housing New Zealand, okay, and so the government's coming and they're taking these homes and they're doing it for the land.
Yeah.
Because then they can on-sell the land, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And they're on-selling the land to?
Private owners.
Developers?
Oh, well, first of all, it goes to a developer.
Yep.
So they on-sell their land to the developer. They sometimes do joint packages, and then the packages then from there, they build their houses. They go to maybe 4 out of 5 go to private owners. 1 goes back to Housing New Zealand, so they do a deal there. So some of them do go back. But, yeah, it's just one of those things that, hey, it's just one of the things that I really stand for.
Yeah.
Is that when people live in a home, you shouldn't put bulldozers through them.
Yep.
And then leave them homeless.
For a profit.
Yeah,
because we're saying
it is for a profit, but it's not. Then it's not the reason why they're doing it. It's because they want to, get better Housing New Zealand homes, which is nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can see where these people are coming from when you've just whacked a bulldozer through their house, and then all of a sudden said, "Go find somewhere else to live."
And they're pushing those people out to places where they
don't care where they go. Yeah. So I'm quite strong about that.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're just a green field that no one's living on. They're building houses. Fantastic. There's actually people's homes. They're putting bulldozers through, then building new homes. Selling 80% to private homes, 20% back to the Housing New Zealand, which is great.
Yep.
But then you're 80% down on Housing New Zealand homes. So.
And you're talking about an 80-20 rule where 80% of that is going into people that are going to be obviously creating the homes or whatever.
Yeah, it's great for first time.
But that 20%
all it goes back to though is where are these people who are living there going?
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, exactly. And these people are obviously in a position where they can't afford to buy their own home as it is.
Yeah.
So again, okay, so that's what they're saying. I want to go back. We mentioned it before. 40 houses being built every working day in Auckland, 4 times what it was when they were elected. That means that they were building 10 houses back 9 years ago.
Yep.
Is that a comment on how good the economy is going, or is that a comment on net migration?
I think it's got to be a props for National.
Yeah. First time home buying, we've covered this off. It's a huge section. The Nats are saying, under our results, 12,000 New Zealanders. They've helped 12,000 New Zealanders into their first home to the year March 2016 with the Home Start grants from the government of up to $20,000 for a couple to put towards their new first home. Look, one of the things that I did love, and that is that I'm seeing more first time home buyers out in the marketplace. I love the fact that KiwiSaver's been deregulated. I love the fact that the caps have been lifted.
Yeah.
And
so National has done a lot, haven't they?
And I think, look, like I said, this show's not to be vote for Labour, vote for National.
I suppose what the kind of public had to ask themselves in terms of who they're voting for, if they were just voting just on property.
Yes.
I'm not probably going to vote on property at all.
Yeah.
Vote about the other policies.
Obviously, there's other policies as well.
But it's not the biggest issue in New Zealand at all.
Of course.
But I suppose, if you were just solely voting on property, I think you just got to look at it and go, Labour's come in and they've said they're going to do all this stuff, which is all...
Which they have to say, because that's how they're going to get in there, isn't it?
That sounds great, as always.
It's a big sell. It
sounds great. Or you have to look back at National and say, what have they done?
Yeah.
Obviously, Labour's attacked what National has done.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do. And National is attacking what Labour is going to do. But you just got to look at both things and say, are they really going to do it?
Yep.
And was that really that good, what they did do?
Yeah.
So that's probably where,
But the importance of it is, when it's all said and done...
Yeah.
Have some faith in yourself and what you believe in, and believe in democracy, and go out there and have a vote.
I personally think for the property debate,
yep,
they're both pretty good.
I think that and to me, look, National supporter, Labour supporter, you're still a friend to me.
Yeah.
Like if you say to me, I'm going to vote this person or this person, you'd still be my mate.
Oh, cool.
And at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to change my life too much.
Yeah.
It's only going to make this show a lot more interesting when we do our post-election episode.
Oh.
Rupert, I'd like to give a big shout out to the Garage Projects.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly enough, we got through the cans a lot more quicker than what we did the bottles.
Well, you did. You went for about 4.
This is actually my,
second one.
I would say 1.5. 1.5.
Okay.
1.5.
Yeah, great.
I do need to wrap this up though because I need to take a little bathroom break. So with that, I'd like to say thank you so much for the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you to the unnamed producer as well. And
cheers.
I'll see you. Don't break the equipment, and I'll see you on episode 5.
Cheers.
And have fun in Samoa.
Thanks, mate.
Be great.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks.